Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite tournament or GPP plays for this Week 15 NFL Draftkings main slate. Like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to kick it off with a couple of my favorite game stacks, and then we'll dive into some of my favorite individual plays and stacks. With that being said, let's dive right into this. And we're going to kick things off here with a couple of game stacks that I like here for this weekend, starting with that game between the Rams and Commanders. And I'd love to stack up Stafford here with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, even Kyren Williams, but that is likely going to be a popular approach not only to this game, but to this slate in general. So I like kind of getting a little different here, stacking up Sam Howell with Terry McLaurin, and then running it back with two Rams players and Kyren Williams and Cooper Kupp. Now, one of the main reasons this game is going to be popular here this weekend is because it leads the main slate with an implied total of 50.5 points, and neither one of these defenses are very good. In fact, right now the Commanders defense ranks dead last across the NFL in total defensive DVOA, and the Rams rank 23rd overall, hence the high scoring potential in this game. And again, I think we can approach it from the other side if you wanted to stack up Matthew Stafford and the Rams side of things, run it back with a Commanders player, but I think this stack here should allow us to get contrarian. And if we wanted to, we could swap off a McLaurin for Dotson or Gibson on the Commander side of things, even swap Kupp for Nacua on the Rams side of things, but again, this was my preferred stack for the game. And then another game stack that I like targeting here in tournaments this week is that game between the Packers and Buccaneers. Now, I like stacking up the Packers side of things here with Jordan Love, Jaden Reed, and Tucker Kraft. Very affordable to do that, and then run it back on the Buccaneers side of things with Rachaad White. Now, the implied game total here is 42.5 points, fourth most on the main slate, and I like attacking the Packers side of things here, not only because it's very affordable, but because this Buccaneers defense has not been good against the pass this year, allowing 40.4 DraftKings points per game to the wide receiver position, and almost 14 DraftKings points per game to the tight end position. Both of those rank as the 7th most in the NFL, and on the other side of that game, the reason I like Rachaad White here is because this Packers defense has not been good against the run, ranking 25th overall in defensive rush DVOA, allowing 24.8 DraftKings points per game to that position, the 8th most in the NFL. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays and stacks here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. We're trying to get Slydog Sports here to 4,000 subs by the end of the year, and if you haven't subbed yet here today and you can give us that, again, I would really appreciate it. Alright, now diving into some of my favorite individual plays and stacks here, we're going to kick it off with the quarterbacks, and I did highlight both Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford in my cash plays video yesterday. If you haven't watched that yet, make sure you go check it out. Both of those guys will likely be in one of my tournament lineups this week. So for my GPP video here, I wanted to go a little off the rail, and I almost highlighted Zach Wilson. Ultimately ended on Joe Flacco here for the Cleveland Browns, priced at $5,500 in a matchup at home against the Chicago Bears, where we would need 22 DraftKings points for him to hit 4x value, and he's proven that he can do that already in 2 games with the Cleveland Browns. You can see his stat lines there in his first 2 games. Love the multiple touchdown upside, but even more so, love the way he's been throwing the ball 40 plus times a game. I'll take that all day for a guy priced in the 5K range. And this Bears defense has not necessarily been great against the pass this year, ranking 24th overall in defensive pass DVOA. Now, moving on to the running backs here, and there are a number of different routes that I think we can go at this position this week, but one guy that I think is flying under the radar is Raheem Mostert of the Miami Dolphins, priced at $7,100 in a matchup at home against the New York Jets, where we would need 28.4 DraftKings points for him to hit 4x value. Now, on the season, he's averaging close to 16 touches and 84 total yards per game, but with a chain dealing with a turf toe injury right now and likely limited on Sunday, I think he could see even more volume in this game. And it was actually just 3 games ago that we saw the Dolphins play the Jets on the road, where Raheem Mostert had 20 rush attempts, 94 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns, leading to 21.5 DraftKings points. Now, 3 games later here, he's projected for less than 2% ownership. I'll definitely take advantage of that in tournaments. And then another running back that I like in tournaments this week is Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans, priced at $6,900 in a matchup at home against the Houston Texans, where we would need 27.6 DraftKings points for him to hit 4x value. Now, it's a tale as old as time. Derrick Henry playing his best football in the later months of the season, typically in November and December. In his last 3 games, he's played his best football, averaging close to 20 touches per game, 82.5 yards per game, and he's hit 2+ touchdowns now in every one of those games. Plus, the Texans are going to be missing Stroud, Tank Dell, and likely Nico Collins in the matchup this week, which should lead to more possession time for this Titans offense. Now, moving on to the wide receivers here, and typically this is my favorite position to highlight for tournaments and even cash games, but that's really not the case here this week. I'm not going to be afraid to eat some of that chalk at the quarterback or running back position and then try to get contrarian here at the wide receiver position. Now, one of the guys that I like here this week in tournaments is Brandon Ayuk of the 49ers, priced at $7,200 in a matchup on the road against the Cardinals, where we would need 28.8 DraftKings points for him to hit 4x value. Now, I really kind of like all the playmakers for the 49ers this week, and that's really the case most weeks. If you want to play Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, or George Kittle, I really don't have any problem with that. But Ayuk has played very well against defenses that run too high safeties, and it just so happens that this Cardinals defense runs too high at a 70% rate. In too high defenses, Ayuk has seen a 21% target share, 39% air yard share, and a 28% first read share. So those numbers definitely stuck out to me, but again, really like any of the 49ers playmakers here this week because this Cardinals defense is not great in general, ranking 31st overall in defensive pass DVOA. Now, with the next wide receiver play here, I was originally going to highlight DeAndre Hopkins of the Titans, but then I really started to like Derrick Henry, so I pivoted to him. That's not to say I won't play Hopkins this week in my tournament lineups. He's sitting at a nice price of $6,200 and has shown some nice chemistry with Will Levis. And for what it's worth, since we're talking about players that I didn't highlight, I do like Alvin Kamara on the running back side of things for the Saints in a good matchup at home against the Giants. Getting off the beaten path there a little bit, let's get back to my graphics and highlight Amari Cooper of the Cleveland Browns, priced at $6,000 this week, again at home against the Chicago Bears, where we would need 24 DraftKings points for him to hit 4x value. Now, in his first full game with Joe Flacco last week, he saw 14 targets, a 31% target share, 51% air yard share, and a 39% first read share. We really don't even know what a ceiling score could look like with Amari Cooper playing with Joe Flacco, but 30 plus DraftKings points, I definitely believe that's in the realm of possibilities. And again, this Bears defense has not been great against the pass this year, ranking 24th overall in defensive pass DVOA. And then if you're looking for a cheaper boom-bust type of wide receiver play, Rashid Shaheed stuck out to me for the New Orleans Saints at $4,300. Great matchup at home this week against the New York Giants, where we would need 17.2 DraftKings points for him to hit 4x value. Now, the volume hasn't been super consistent for Shaheed this year. He's seen a 14% target share and a 22% air yard share, but being that Michael Thomas is now on the IR, Shaheed is essentially running as the wide receiver number 2 in this Saints offense, and for what it's worth, Chris Olave was limited in practice all week and is questionable heading into Sunday. I do expect him to play, but I think that is worth noting, as Giants defense has not been good against wide receivers this year, allowing close to 41 DraftKings points per game to the position. That's the 5th most in the NFL. Now, when it comes to the tight ends here this week, I think I'm just generally going to be spending down at this position. Highlighted Kraft earlier, talked about Okonkwo of the Titans yesterday in my cash plays video, as well as Conklin of the New York Jets. And don't get me wrong, there's some decent spend-up options at the tight end position on this slate. We have both Kittle and Kelsey, and I don't mind that game between the Bills and Cowboys if you wanted to go with Kincaid or Ferguson. But overall, like I said, I think I'm just going to be spending down at this position. I did, however, wanted to highlight Njoku here because I think we can stack him up with Flacco as well for the Cleveland Browns. He's priced at $4,700, again playing the Bears at home, where we would need 18.8 DraftKings points for him to hit 4x value. Now, it's been a small sample size, we're all aware of that, but in 2 games with Flacco, he's seen a 16% target share and a 13% first read share. Played very well last week, scoring 2 touchdowns, and this Bears defense actually ranks dead last in coverage against tight ends this year, and have also allowed the 5th most receptions to the position. And then wrapping things up here with a defense for tournaments this week, and most weeks we're not thrilled about the defense position. Whatever money you got left over, throw in a defense in your tournament lineups. Usually I can find some decent value in matchups though, but this week is kind of a dart throw when it comes to defenses. One that did stick out to me, though, and I think we can do a little running back and defense stack, is that of the Titans, priced at $3,700, so they're certainly expensive, playing the Houston Texans at home, where we would need close to 15 DraftKings points for them to hit 4x value, but they've played well here over their last 3 games, racking up 12 sacks, 4 turnovers, hitting 8, 9, and 10 DraftKings points. But what I really like is that the Texans are going to be missing their top 3 playmakers on offense with CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, and likely Nico Collins. He did not practice all week long, so I'd be surprised if he played on Sunday. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this Week 15 main slate. And in the meantime, I'm out of here.